It's Animas River Days here in Durango, Colorado. For 30 years, you just grab your dog, your picnic, and whatever else you want, and you just come down here and you watch shenanigans. They have boat races, they have competitions, rodeo competitions, and things like that. And then there's a boat parade that comes through here where people do all kinds of crazy stuff.
Mostly intoxicated.
Mostly intoxicated. So we decided we would film some of this and start off our next video from here. I did read that part of what's going on down here is a surfing competition, and we're standing right here in front of a little rapid wave called Corner Pocket, and these surfers are out here practicing. Crazy crowd here today. Hi, we're Kristina and Matt. Retired, living off-grid, and traveling in our converted camper van, Clarity. We share a love of each other, of nature, and of living simply and affordably. Join us as we seek out ways to appreciate this beautiful world we all inhabit together. So that was some crazy shenanigans down there at the river. But now we're going to really do some fun on the river. We're heading out for a river trip. Lene and Ryan are coming, and their friend John, and we're meeting up with a couple other folks up there, and really just looking forward to a few days on the river. So we're almost ready. We're just figuring out the details, and Lene is trying to figure out how to get the clamp tied onto the front for that GoPro. We got packs here, and we're almost ready to go. Woo, look at that. So gorgeous. After all the prep of getting on the water and all the work it is to just get yourself on the river, it's such a relief to finally get on the river and go, okay, it is worth it.
Yeah.
And after a couple of days, you're just so slowed into the rhythm of it. It's such a relief to finally get on the water. Just starting to settle into the nice, slow rhythm of the river. We call that river time. One of the things I always find a little bit disorienting on this river is that it runs from south to north. I'm just used to going west or southwest on rivers out here in the southwest, so it always kind of throws me a little. All right. We stopped at the first camp that looked like it could accommodate our group. Although it appeared to have been completely submerged less than a week ago, we were able to find enough suitable spots to set up tents. The drop in water level, however, ended up being the perfect breeding ground for... Oh my God, I've never been in a place with this many mosquitoes in one place all at once. Look at them all. Oh yeah, there's like 4 of them on your ankle. Right
oh my God, no.
and I have been spending a lot of time together, and our last trip was in the early spring. And traveling that time of year, the weather is not always conducive to being outside a lot. So we spent a lot of time in the van and traveling and doing a lot of miles and a lot of time together in a closed space. And I have to admit, not everybody can do that. I feel so fortunate that Matt and I can do van life, live in a small space with a dog and a cat, and everybody gets along pretty well. But like all couples, we were feeling like we needed some space and a little bit of alone time and time to just do our own thing. I decided to stay home and just hang with Jessie and Ivy and get some things done around the house and have some me time.
We going for a walk? We going for a walk? Yeah!
After all the snow this winter, the reward has been the most luscious spring wildflowers I've seen in years. So I took the opportunity to capture the beauty that is blooming just outside our front door. One day into it, and the house feels oddly vacant without Matt.
Well, we did make it through the night. It was great to just go to bed and get away from those mosquitoes. And they were swarming again this morning. We had a good breakfast, got packed up, and we're back on the river. Today we really get into the canyon, and we've got some archaeological sites we're going to check out. And so it should be a fun day. Wow, look at all the striations, the layers in that. Love this part. When you start getting into the canyon. So pretty. Yeah, it's beyond pretty. It's majestic. It's ancient. It's spectacular. Now that is a rock face. Woo, with desert varnish. See that big notch? There'll be waterfalls just coming off of there in the rain. Sarah, my ex, and her partner Gary, who also joined us on the trip, were the lead boats, and they were trying to look for an archaeological site in this area. Oh, she's pulling off, or is she just letting him go by? Since this river is dam controlled, and we've been in a long-term drought, it hasn't run in 5 years. Because of that, the landing sites for camps and sites of interest are often overgrown and hard to find. Don't be in a hurry to throw it because the water's really slow here. I'll give a big shove right now, and then when you start getting closer you can throw it. That's good. Sarah had pulled off to scout if this was the site we were looking for.
I'm not sure this is it. I'm gonna go check it out.
Okay. Yeah, if you can push us out past that little stick and then straddle it. And then you can walk out, Linnea, onto the pontoon.
Rope.
Yeah, just take it with you. And just be careful stepping off, because you don't want to step. The water might be kind of deep there.
It's a little deep, yeah.
While she was looking for it, Linnea was trying to acclimate to managing the bow line and trying not to fall while landing the boat. Not an easy task.
We don't know for certain this is it. Sarah's up checking it out.
Okay.
Turned out we had to pull out of this landing zone and pull up to another one about 100 yards downstream. Good job. It definitely takes some getting used to maneuvering on and off boats.
Yeah.
Current's moving here, but it looks like a nice little eddy. Hang on, Pax. Oh yeah, that's easy. Unfortunately, other than some cool vegetation and perhaps a grinding stone or mono, this site proved to be a bit lacking. Some grinding stones that they used to grind corn with. I think that one too, it's really smooth. As much as the last site was lacking in archaeological interest, the pictographs and petroglyphs at the next site we checked out were much more rewarding. We're hearing thunder and it looks like it could be raining right over there, but so far we haven't had any rain. Woohoo! Downstream wind. Oh, listen to the wind in those cottonwoods. And it's starting to rain. Just a little. After 15 miles on the river, with the weather threatening, we planned to stop at one of the many identified camps within the next few miles. Little did we know the river had a different plan for us. All right, it's threatening to rain. There's supposed to be a camp over here. So we're just hoping we're going to be able to get in and get a camp. All three of them that we've passed recently have had somebody in them. Holy moly, that is a house rock. Oh shit. There we go, thank you. With camp after camp, either full or washed out, we had no choice but to keep on keeping on. You gotta admit, it's a nice time to be on the river. So we still have not found a camp, and we just have to keep going because there's nothing else we can do until we find a camp that's open. There is another camp that looks like it's coming up here in about another mile. So we'll see what that one has to offer. In the meantime, the scenery is spectacular. I wonder if that beaver knows there's a class 3 rapid up here. Oh, I scared it. Okay, well this is the first class 3 rapid on this river that we've had, but it looks pretty washed out. This water level looks pretty straightforward, really. Did you get wet? I got a little bit of splash. Uh-oh. I didn't see that. So after looking for camps for 15 miles and spending over 9 hours on the river, we
did half the river mileage in one day today.
We did. Only because we could not find an unoccupied camp. Yeah, so in 50 years of doing the river,
never seen it like this. It's insane out there.
But we managed to find an actually really cool spot, even though the kitchen setup is in a little bit of a weird place. I got to show you where we're sleeping. So we're sleeping Puebloan style tonight, under the overhangs in the cave.
Cowboy camping.
Cowboy camping, and we have enough room here for everybody to lay out their Paco pads. We don't even need tents, and yeah, pretty cool.
Pretty neat.
Everybody survived. And Kristina, Sarah was saying she was really happy for you that you weren't here because this was such a grueling day. You would have hated it. And like we all did. So love you. We'll see you in a couple of days.
Well, good morning. It's 6 o'clock in the morning. I got 7 hours of sleep last night. And it's so beautiful and peaceful and just magical out here. The moon's just going down over there. A little more than a half moon.
After a nice breakfast, we packed up camp, loaded up the boats, and put on the river for about a 5-minute float to the canyon. Lo and behold, the camp was vacant and we were able to snag it. Being the quintessential opposite of yesterday's grueling float, we ended up with an ideal layover day. After some minor setup of the kitchen and common shelter, we headed off to explore the canyon. Seemed to be following a trail, and then all of a sudden we're blazing, trailblazing.
Yeah, Pax, you go trailblaze for us.
Looking up there like we might get a little rain, and we're thinking we walked a couple miles, now would be a good time to walk back. Well, it was so sunny and gorgeous when we left that I thought, oh, walking for a couple hours. I didn't need to put my rain fly on, so I didn't. And now it's raining. So I'm just hoping it doesn't rain any heavier, and maybe it's not raining back at camp at all, I hope. Fingers crossed. But my rain fly's not on, and my sleeping bag in its case is sitting in the tent. Smart, huh? You'd think somebody who's been out here for so many years would think about that. Upon returning to camp, I was relieved to find that even though my tent was somewhat wet, my sleeping bag was dry. I put the fly on and went down to join the others. We huddled under the shelter to wait out the storm. Sure enough, after an hour or so, the clouds parted, setting up the perfect opportunity for a hike up to the peak behind the camp and for some frolicking in the river.
Can you see him right up there?
Okay, yeah, that can definitely be done.
People I know have likened river trips to camping on steroids. Typically, there's no shortage of good food, plenty of beer and fizzy drinks, waterproof sleeping pads that are super comfy, tables, dishwashing and hand washing setups, tents, rain shelters, and comfy chairs. The downside of all this glamping is that all the gear needs to be unloaded from the boats each day and packed onto the boats each morning and secured for rapids. Typically, it takes about 3 days to settle into the rhythm and for everybody to get familiar with the routine. This trip, unfortunately, was only 3 nights on the river, so today we float to the takeout. A lot of tight little meandering goosenecks through this section. Really fun boating, but flat water, so it's leisurely, fun. We get to be close to each other and talk to each other. Within about 1.5 miles from putting on the river, there was a close meander that Ian was keen to hike across. A close meander is where the river meanders on 2 sides of a rock outcropping, causing the rock to erode away, which allows for a short walk to the river on the other side. While Ian was walking, we had planned on Ryan rowing my boat the 2 river miles to the other side of the meander while I flew the drone from the front seat of the boat. Unfortunately, I hadn't gotten real about how long it would take to float those 2 miles to the other side, and I hadn't realized how high those rock faces really were in terms of the line of sight limitations of the drone. To make a long, stressful story short, I had positioned the drone over the close meander in case I lost sight of the drone, but lost contact with it before I had it completely in position. With sporadic reception, I put it where I thought it would be super close to the boat's landing zone, so if it ran out of battery before I got back in contact, it would force land where Ian could see it and pick it up. Turns out that's exactly what happened, except that while the signal was sporadic, I got disoriented and positioned it over the start of the hike instead of the end. He did see it hover and land, but had to walk back to the other side to pick it up. I guess all's well that ends well, but lesson learned, I'll keep the drone close within line of sight if I get this opportunity again. I could have landed it on the boat, changed the battery, took off again after getting within sight of the close meander, filmed Ian arriving at the boat's landing zone, and saved myself a lot of stress. Just more of the same, boring. Which of course I'm joking because we absolutely love this, really settling into the rhythm of it now. And just in awe, it's like awe-inspiring just to be here. Listening to the canyon wrens and the swallows and all the other birds and water. It's fabulous. All I can say about this is the desert has a lot to offer.
Oh, nice. Bear paws.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. And a deer.
So you can't spend 3 days together and go through what we went through, especially the day before yesterday, without at least taking a photo. Well, every good thing must come to an end, but we didn't expect it to end this way. We got to the takeout, our vehicles were not here, the shuttle drivers forgot to print our form, and we had to hitch a ride all the way back to the put-in and then pick up our vehicles, come back here, and now we have to go all the way back home right past the put-in. So there's a lot of extra driving and a little frustration, but we're here and we're on our way home.